Well, I'm putting a few clips together to start a video. I'm going to show you what's happening out my front door, I guess, first. This planter, I've grown several things in over the years. I just gave it a little boost with some compost and whatever, and have planted 3 Armenian yard-long cucumbers. What I really want to show you is this crazy trellis. It's elastic or whatever. You just put screw eyes up and it has hooks. Hopefully it will hold the heavy weight of the yard-long cucumbers. We'll see as the summer goes on. This area had a bird feeder hanging right up there until earlier this morning. Normally I stop feeding the birds long before this because I only feed until I run out of seeds in the spring, and I don't feed all summer. We had such an open winter that the birds were a long while finishing my seed. Well, they finished it, them and the red squirrels. I'm concerned that the red squirrels might dig these up. They have been here wondering what happened to all the bird seed, and so have several of the birds. Well, it's a beautiful, bright, sunny day, and I'm not complaining. I like the beautiful, bright, sunny days, but they're not the best for outdoor photography. This is my lettuce growing in the pallet, and it's doing quite well. There's one blank space, and that's been there all along. I must have missed that area. I didn't get any seed in there, I guess. And so far, my hens and the guinea fowl have left it alone. Maybe they're just waiting for it to get large enough. Once again, these are my beets and what looks like just a radish crop, but down in between the radish there are quite a few carrots coming up, and I'm starting to harvest the radish, so I have to be careful when I pull them that I don't as I was trying to say, that I don't pull up the carrots along with them. They're lovely and sweet and tender at this stage. The variety is French breakfast radish. The beets, of course, are growing too thickly, but I like to wait until they're big enough that I can get greens, and then I thin them. A lot of people, I guess, don't understand that when you plant a beet seed, that's not a single seed. It's a little capsule that could have 2 or 3 in it. So even if you don't plant them too thickly like I obviously did, you will still have to do some thinning, because quite often there will be 2 or 3 come up from the one seed. The corn is doing very well. Now, I started that in the unheated greenhouse, and they've been out here about a week, I think, and they have more than doubled in size since I planted them out. It's a sweet corn. The variety is peaches and cream. This long row of 10-gallon pots just planted out day before yesterday, I think it was. Anyway, they're squash. My 2 varieties of winter squash, and then there's 2 zucchinis closer here, and the very far end has 2 pie pumpkins growing in them. And I guess there's also the occasional sunflower. The birds planted sunflowers, and I transplanted them into these containers. Peas are coming along quite nicely. It's a heritage heirloom variety, open pollinated, called Green Arrow. I'm not supposed to be terribly tall, but maybe 3 or 4 feet, so that obelisk trellis thing they're growing up should be plenty tall enough for them. The potatoes have started coming up. There's 3 seed potatoes in each of the 2 pots, and I see this morning that one of the pots has got the 3rd one coming up, and the other one was still waiting for it to surface, and once they do that I will earth them up more. The variety is called Colombo, not Columbia, but Colombo or something like that. It's supposed to be an all-around potato, good for fries and baking and boiling and mashing and whatever, and it's supposed to be an early season one. And the onions are marching right along, at least most of them are. Onions and shallots. And I think the shallots are sort of outshining the onions at this point. Hopefully you can see them. There's some runner beans that are just starting to come up in that large pot. I bought a different variety this year from Annapolis Seed called Giant White Greek runner bean. The blossom is white and the seed, the bean, is enormous. I also had some of the scarlet runners left over from years past, and I was surprised that they germinated last year, so I put the last of them in there for this summer and see what happens. And this is another one of my crazy experiments. I watch a BBC program called Gardener's World with Monty Don. I subscribe to BritBox and get it on there. He puts a program out every week. And usually in his programs there is 2 or 3 short segments from other gardeners who have just sent in videos and he plays them. A lady somewhere in the UK was showing what she does with her lettuce and celery. I use romaine lettuce until my garden lettuce is ready. I buy it in those 3 packs of romaine hearts. And if you can see the one closest to me there, that was in water for less than a week, and it's already started to grow up a new head of romaine. In the center is a celery stalk, which hasn't done anything yet. And then off to the right is a third romaine one, but I just made salad out of that yesterday and potted it out here directly rather than starting it in water in the house. One of the invasives that are on my property, and this one I just love, I just let it grow wherever it happens to find itself. It's a Veronica speedwell, I think. And as I say, it spreads. Birds must gather the seeds after it finishes blooming and distribute them, because I find it in locations where I certainly have never planted it before, but I think it's beautiful. Apple trees are starting to bloom. This is my crab apple. The variety is Dolgo. I had enough apples on it last year that I made a small batch, 3 or 4 jars of crab apple jelly. And if the amount of blossoms are any indication, I'll be able to do the same this year. In the greenhouse for a short visit. It is ever hot in here today. I've managed to get all of the beds cleaned out, I guess, and some things replanted. Whoops. I don't lose the camera in the process here. Lower right there, that is sage. And the last couple of years I've been really cutting that back hard in the spring, and it seems to like it. Next to it is one of my tomatoes. That would be one of the taller varieties, either the grape tomato that I started from a single grape, slicing up the grape and putting it on top of the soil, or it is Gardener's Sweetheart, lovely cherry tomato. But what I really wanted to show you in this bed, you remember these things that I couldn't decide what on earth it was? They came up in with my shallots and onion seeds. Why I didn't recognize the foliage, I don't know. It's what they call a rutabaga. Locally here we call rutabagas a turnip, and it's one of my favorite vegetables. So I'm going to have 2 of them, and they're already starting to produce down at the base. Next to it is a jalapeno, an early jalapeno, supposed to be mild. Their version of mild, I expect. And then back there is French tarragon. I'm growing my cucumbers on trellises. They call this thing a obelisk trellis, made in China, like everything else that Amazon sells. I bought 4 of them. I have 1 up in the other garden with the peas growing up it, and 3 of them in here for my quarantine cucumbers, the European gherkin cucumber. I am determined they are not going to take over the greenhouse this year. We have a butterfly, hopefully not laying its eggs in something that'll eat my cucumber. Next to that is the carrots that overwintered. They haven't flowered yet, but they have bolted, and it's over a foot high, 18 inches high or so. So I suspect it won't be long before it blossoms. I'm going to let it go. It'd be neat, I think, to grow my own carrot seeds. Another jalapeno and another, that pepper is growing up next to one of those curly-Q things, so that's a Manitoba, a determinate variety. I have offered a lot of my leftover seedlings free today, and I've already had several customers take me up on the offer, and I've got a few more that are yet to come. So I hate to throw anything out, and I definitely would not be planting any more of them. So local gardeners are benefiting with a few free seedlings anyway. Well, that will conclude this little video. Thank you very much for watching.